I've been playing Pokemon Go since 2016, but I had to go all the way to Japan to get my first perfect legendary. Test 1, 2. Can you hear me? Or can you hear Cicada? Gonna find out when I read. Watch this now. Now, legendary Pokemon have been available since December of 2017 in Pokemon Go, but ya boy has terrible luck. This is Sky, and she wanted to be in the video too. Hi, Sky. Hi. Now, for context, when my wife and I went to Japan, we went for more than just 7 days, but these next 7 days that I had were the most perfect 7 days that Japan could have offered an avid Pokemon Go player like myself. Day 1 of my perfect Pokemon Go week in Japan, my wife and I made our way to Ueno Park. Now, my Japanese teacher told us that Ueno Park is a great place to go on weekends because they have lots of different vendors and people selling food throughout the park. And she was not wrong. I got myself a water bottle from a local vendor and an ice cream cone, and she actually commented on this tank top that I'm wearing right now. She spoke very minimal English, and so I used the best Japanese that I could, and we had a conversation about Hunter x Hunter. I'm wearing this not because of that. It's hot outside, so deal with my sleeveless arms. In the park, we experienced so many amazing views. We saw so many different beautiful shrines. We saw so many different animals. The crows were gigantic there. I also saw lots and lots of Pokemon Go stops. Now, I had my auto catcher on our way to Ueno Park because, to be honest, when I was there, I didn't take a whole lot of footage of when I was playing because I wasn't sure how much data I would be eating up and how much phone battery I'd be eating up with limited access to a portable charging device. I did my 4-star check while we were in the middle of Ueno Park as my Pokemon Go storage was filling up pretty quick, and I noticed that a certain little trash bag made its way into my inventory. That's right, on day 1 I got a 4-star perfect Garbodor. Well, now it's a Garbodor, and it's actually a pretty important one because as Pokemon Go and Niantic has teased heavily, Gigantamax and Dynamax Pokemon are coming to Pokemon Go. Unlike other random Pokemon, like if you Dynamax or Gigamax a War Turtle, it's just going to be a big War Turtle, but if you Gigamax a Garbodor, it's going to be a unique, cool looking version. Now, on day 2, which was personally my favorite day as a tourist in Japan, we were with my teacher, tour guide, Emily-san. Now, she, and I cannot recommend her enough, gave us such an amazing tour. Now, one small thing that goes unnoticed when it comes to taking a tour is that when you're out there traveling on your own and you're just relying on Google Maps, and your own sense of direction, sometimes it can be a little overwhelming, and you can get a little anxiety over it. But our day with Emily was amazing. She had all these planned places for us to visit, and she just led the way. Took us to whatever train line we needed to go to, walked around whatever corner we needed to. We saw so many different food stops, so many different shops to visit. The first place she took us to was actually Sunshine City, where we saw Pokemon Cafe, the Pokemon Go store, and the Pokemon Center there as well. While at that Pokemon Center and trying to take a picture with Emily-san in front of Miraidon, I happened to start hatching a Pokemon. Now, what Pokemon could that be? Well, it's none other than my very first perfect Togekiss. Well, I mean, it was a Togepi when I hatched it, but now it's a Togekiss. That was the perfect Pokemon I got on day 2, but I cannot tell you how amazing day 2 was with Emily-san. Please, if you're going to Japan, book a tour with her. It's so worth it. Do it. After our day with Emily-san, we went back to our hotel and we had to pack things up to get ready to go to Kyoto the next day. Now, we were taking the bullet train from Tokyo to Kyoto, and honestly, it was very, very cool, but our Pokemon storage was getting very, very full. So we made sure we did so many trades. And upon doing some of these trades, one of my other perfect Pokemon made an appearance. That's right, not just a hundo, not just a lucky hundo, but a lucky shundo. Ludicolo. Now, I like to name all of my shundos their actual Japanese name in the Japanese katakana. So if you're wondering what that says, it says Ranpapa. That's Ludicolo's name in in Japanese. But this was awesome. I got a shundo on this trip while trading. What else did I need? My wife and I went to a kimono shop where she rented out a kimono so that way she could wear it and we could visit a shrine or, wherever we wanted to, because you can rent them for up to a full 24 hours if you like. Now, if you're wondering why I didn't rent one, well, I'm a very large individual and it would have cost more than double what my wife was paying for her kimono, so I decided, let this be her day. And my goodness, she absolutely is stunning. Look at these amazing pictures. Not only was I lucky enough to be following around and taking pictures of such an amazing, beautiful woman, but later on in that day, I did some research. And as I tell my Pokemon chat, do your research because you never know what you're gonna get. I happened to get a Hundo Gibble. It's now a Gabite. It's Gabite. It's now a Hundo Gabite. And when I can eventually evolve it into a Garchomp for its legacy move Earth Power, I'm going to do that. That's why it's not a Garchomp. Day 5, which is actually kind of day 6 technically, I did my 7-day streak. Now, I was suffering some severe jet lag throughout this trip, and I had a really hard time even staying up to 10 p.m. at night sometimes, and then getting up as early as 4 a.m. So I decided, you know what, my 7-day streak is always Thursday, Friday midnight, like the transition. Anyway, I decided I had to stay up for it. And Yveltal happened to be the 5-star legendary raids at the time, and I always make sure my first Pokemon on my 7-day streak is from a remote raid, which is always a 5-star legendary. Certain sites like Pokegenie, you can see exact IVs, the CP you need for a hundo when you're hunting for one in these raids. Now, when I did my streak, I was quite tired, as I mentioned. I was jet lagged, and as soon as we beat the raid, I saw the catch screen come up, and I couldn't remember if it was 2106 or 20. The number eluded me. It escaped me. Without wanting to switch back to Pokegenie to check the IVs, because I was afraid that I would lose my raid and lose my ability to catch my Pokemon, I kept throwing ball after ball until I got down to my last 2 balls. It shook once, crit catch, love it. And then what do I do but open up the appraisal and see that I had caught my first ever legendary hundo. That's right, Pokemon's God of Destruction, Yveltal itself, was all mine. My first legendary hundo. I was so excited. I unfortunately woke my poor sleeping wife, but she was just as excited for me because she knows how long I have tried to get a legendary hundo. I have no idea how many raids I've done in total to this point to try and attempt a legendary, but I do know that when you do a raid, it's a potential IV floor of 10, 10, 10, all the way up to 15, 15, 15, which leaves about a 1 in 210 chance of getting one. I've definitely done more than 200 legendary raids to this point in my Pokemon Go career. But to finally get my first legendary hundo, I was so happy. I was so happy, in fact, that we went right back to the Pokemon Go Center in Kyoto that we had visited the day before to get my own little Yveltal plushie to celebrate. Now, after I had secured my own Yveltal plushie, my wife and I made our way to Nara for Nara Deer Park, which, if I'm being honest, this is probably close to my second favorite day in Japan. Now, if you don't know, in Nara Deer Park, the deer are free to roam as they please. And, as in Japanese culture, deer are quite sacred. So there's been this mutual trust built up between both the deer and the people that visit the park, to the point where the deer will happily bow graciously for a cookie. Which, if I'm being honest, if I bowed in front of somebody and they just gave me a cookie, I think I just stopped bowing in front of everybody too. Now, day 6 was actually Cyndaquil Community Day. Classic. I didn't have a hundo Cyndaquil at that point. However, I did have a shiny lucky Cyndaquil from one of my friends. It was actually the first shiny lucky Pokemon I had ever received, ever in a trade. So I was actually trying to max mine out. Not to mention my Charcadet. I got a perfect Charcadet while on the train. That was awesome! On the last day before we went back home, our last visit was to the Tokyo Dome to see the Tokyo Giants. Now I'm actually a very big baseball fan and I love a big energetic crowd, so I was not disappointed when I went to this game. When my wife and I actually bought tickets for this game months in advance, we didn't realize that when we bought the ticket, we were in the middle of the cheering section for the Tokyo Giants. If you've ever had the pleasure to experience going to a sports game in Japan or in Tokyo, you'll probably notice how electric the crowd can get. However, after leaving the Tokyo Giants game, it did start to rain. Luckily, they play in a dome, so they got to finish the game, but we busted out our umbrellas and made our way back to the Shinjuku line to get back to our hotel for our final night stay, where we made loads and loads and loads of trades. Playing on Pokemon Go basically all day using international data, my phone would die pretty quick. And as we were doing these trades, final in the night, before we packed our things away, my phone, I made one little risk. I tried to make one more trade while my phone was at 1%. As the Pokemon started to transfer to each other, my phone died. So the next morning when I woke up after my phone had been fully charged, I was playing the game, not thinking of a thing, not thinking of the Venipede that was traded to me the night before. Only when I did my 4-star check to clear out some inventory to realize that, oh yeah, I just got traded a 4-star Venipede. And that was the perfect way to cap off my perfect week in Japan. From tons of region-locked Pokemon to all the multitudes of perfect Pokemon that I got, that was just a small sample of how amazing this trip really was. Every single day it was loaded with sights and scenes I never thought I could experience. It was filled with food I never thought I would have tried before. And of course it was with one of the most amazing people in my life. Could not recommend going to Japan more. Please, if you ever get the chance to experience such an amazing place, and I'm just scratching the surface in this video, please go. It is amazing. I cannot thank all the people that helped get me there, to all the people that helped teach me the things that they know, from the language to the culture, to all the specific spots for food and sightseeing, to the financial help that I got from some of my family and friends as well. I cannot overstate my thanks. This was an unforgettable trip I will cherish with the rest of my life. Thank you so much. And thank you for watching. If you'd like to see me try and take more of these trips, I mean, please subscribe and like this video. I'd love to go to plenty of other places, but most specifically back to Japan, so I can catch more Pokemon and trade them to you. But that's all I got for today, so bye.